Interesting. Okay. So there might be at least few of you who might have felt that okay, there's some difficulty in studying that subject because there's a lot of math involved. Anyone who has felt that? You can speak. You can speak with me. No problem. Don't feel bad or don't feel shy. So who all are there here? Let me see. No one has felt it is difficult. Hmm? Shall I just ask? Bhavana S. Bhavana S is there? Bhavana? Not there. See, I will be calling, I do not know all your names, but then I will be asking you randomly. Supreet? Supreet is here?
Yes, ma'am. Initially, it was difficult, ma'am. By
Okay.
practicing, it became easy.
Oh, okay, Supreet. Very good. So even now, even in case of DSP, is the same thing. Okay. Definitely, it's not going to be so difficult. It's going to be easy for you. Only thing is, you need to have when certain problematic chapters come, you will have to put in a little bit of effort to solve problems. That's it. But compared to your signals and systems, things are very abstract and it's very easy. You once you understand the concept, it's very simple. Okay. So our subject is just a minute. DSP. So D stands for the complete abbreviation of DSP is nothing but digital signal processing. So today we'll see a little bit of introduction on what is this digital signal processing. Okay. So first of all, you know what is a signal? What is a signal? In the previous semester in signals and systems you have studied. So can anyone tell me the basic definition of a signal?
Ma'am, signal is a function which conveys some information, ma'am.
Okay, it is something that conveys some information. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Others, I want others also to speak. I think it is Shiv Shankar who is speaking all the time. Isn't it? I can recognize his voice. So signal, as he said, conveys some information. So anything that conveys information, can you call it a signal? What are the different types? What are the different dimensions? So if you see, I can always represent a signal by means of a graph. Okay, whether it is, there are different dimensions. You can have one-dimensional signals. Okay, you can have two-dimensional signals. You can have three-dimensional signals and even four-dimensional also. So what do these dimensions let us know? Like, what do you mean by these dimensions? So basically, you will have an independent, basically if you want to plot even a single dimensional signal, you will have an independent variable, which is usually the time on the x-axis, and most of the cases it will be the amplitude value, or in 90% of the cases it will be the amplitude value on the y-axis. So this is the dependent variable. So you have a dependent variable and you have an independent variable, and some variation with respect to this independent variable, the dependent variable is going to move. So if you consider, for example, a simple example, suppose whatever I am speaking, the speech, if I am going to record the speech is nothing but a very random signal. If you plot my speech, maybe it looks something like this. So this is a speech signal, okay, a random signal. Each signal has got different characteristics. That means you cannot predict this signal. I think all these things you would have studied. The x-axis that I'll be using is time. Okay, y-axis will be the amplitude values. Is it not? So this is a speech signal. So after this, say I want to plot ECG signals. ECG signal is plotted over time. It is called a PQRST waveform. Just giving you examples of, okay, this is an ECG signal. Pretty much it goes like this. This is a biomedical signal. Okay, so this actually technically there are terms like this P, Q, R, S, T. This is the naming we give. So continuously based on this PQRST waveform and the intervals, we get a lot of, this is called RR interval. Okay, this interval determines whether the condition of your heart is good or not. You have all seen ECG signals, right? At least in television and all, like, or whenever you have visited any hospital, you would have seen an ECG machine. So this is also an example of what? A signal. So this is a deterministic signal. That means you know the nature of the signal. Getting? So have you all seen? You all know about these. I'm just giving
Yes,
you some
ma'am.
examples of signals, which are very important to us before we actually get into why we should process. Okay, what is the need for digital processing? You in the previous semester you learnt about signals, the types of signals, okay, and what all operations you can do. You would have learned convolution, multiplication, and so many other things, right? So many numerical operations how you would do on the signals. So now we are concerned about how will we use these signals and get useful information out of it. Okay, how do we interpret these signals and get useful information out of it? Are you getting? All of you? All of you are there? Getting it?
Yes.
Everyone? Okay, okay. Let me see. If anybody else is joined, there are people waiting, is it? Are there people waiting? No. There are just 49 of you. Where are the rest of them? Okay. I guess around 70 of them are there in the this one, but then okay, no problem. Fine. So can anybody wants to give any other example of daily life signals that you see around you? Everything you take, see the speech that I am speaking, if you record it, it is a signal. ECG signals in the hospital is a signal. These are all examples of one-dimensional signals, okay? That is the x-axis you will have. Usually the independent variable is time. With respect to time, we plot. That is, if you start an experiment at t is equal to 0, or if you start plotting from this instant, say for around 5 minutes, that is 5 into 300 seconds. Okay, for 300 seconds, if you plot the information, the amount of signal that you have got, the amount of information that you have got, for example, if I take ECG signal, the amount of information you have got is huge. Okay, that much of information, how are you going to process it? Or how are you going to infer something out of it? So looking at the ECG waveform, I should understand whether the person has got any heart issues. Looking at this interval, we can understand. Okay, looking at the interval, we can RR interval, we can understand whether the person has got any problem like what to say. There are so many problems that you can get. You could have. It is called. There are some medical terms for that. Let's not use those. See, whenever I say the RR interval is less, I'm just giving you an example. It is less. It means your heart is not beating. The heart is not beating at its proper rate, 72 beats per minute. Getting this? Just a minute. So whenever this doesn't happen, suppose the RR interval is very high, it means your heart is beating very fast. This is also related to your blood pressure. Okay, so lot of information you can actually get. Lot of information you can actually get from here. Okay, by looking at a signal, so much of information you can infer. So these are all examples of single dimensional signals. You can also have multidimensional in the sense a two-dimensional signal. What are two-dimensional signals? Best example is your image. So an image will have two coordinates in a two dimension. This is an image. So you will have a number of pixels here. Okay. So here there is one more domain called as spatial domain. Okay, I will speak about this slowly. What is this? So from every signal you have, whether it is a single dimensional signal or a two-dimensional signal or even a three-dimensional signal, video is an example for three-dimensional. In case of video,
Ma'am,
yes? Yes, somebody saying something?
excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, yes, tell me.
Ma'am, there is some glitch, I guess, ma'am. I'm not able to hear what you're telling.
Not able to hear? Vikas. Who is that speaking? Not able to hear? There is no glitch here. I guess others are able to hear me.
Yes. Yes, ma'am, because now it's proper, ma'am. Your voice was breaking a lot.
Okay, okay.
Now it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, okay, fine, fine, fine. Okay, so when I consider image as a two-dimensional signal, okay, whenever I consider image, what happens is there are two dimensions. That is, you have an x coordinate, you have a y coordinate. So these are set of pixel values which will be present for an image. Any image you take, set of pixel values as a coordinate of x and y you consider. These are fine. 1 second. Somebody is people are joining slowly. I would request one thing to all of you. By next class, please try to join at least 10 minutes earlier so that we don't waste time. Even if it is online, we don't waste time in admitting you all and all that. Okay. So what about video? In case of video, it is a set of images. You'll have a set of images called as frames. It goes on like that over time. So you would have seen in olden days how films or movies are played. They have a continuous set of images which they rotate continuously. A thin film would be there and they would rotate it. Once they rotate it perfectly, you would see moving pictures. So as time progresses, so there is a spatial domain for the set of images and there is time domain also. Okay, so for any image or sorry, for any signal that you have, whether it is one dimensional, two dimensional or three dimensional, it carries, as somebody rightly said, there is some amount of information that is there. Not just some amount of information. You take any signal, the amount of information that you have in today's world or in today's scenario, the amount of information that you have is huge. So how do you account for this? How do you manage so much of information? Today, you know that at one click away, you have so much of information with you. If you want to see an ECG, you can even monitor ECG on your phone. That's also possible. ECG signal, you can monitor on your phone if you have some app. Okay? You can even, you keep taking pictures. You watch videos. Okay? I'm just giving you few examples. You keep speaking. Your voice is a signal. So any signal you consider, it has got huge amount of information. So what do you need now? What do you need to do? You need to do something called as processing to these signals. So if you do it in the digital domain, always you know that doing something digitally is very simple. Is it not? Doing something digitally is very much simpler. Is it not? So what we'll do is, we will try to understand why we need to do the signal processing. First of all, what exactly is the signal processing? We need to understand. That is, because we have huge amount of information, we need to infer something. The information or the amount of data that is there is huge. This is the first thing. Second thing, you need to get some useful inference from these signals. Okay, this is the second thing. So how do we do it? Now all the the most important concern is that all natural signals are dash. What? Fill this dash. Dash in nature. Can anyone fill this blank? Can anyone try filling the blank? Vikas, can you hear me now? Vikas?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can
Yes,
can
ma'am.
you
Yes, ma'am.
can you try?
Analog in nature, ma'am.
Analog, very good. All natural signals are analog in nature. That means what? Analog means what? These are continuous with respect to time. Is it not? All these signals are continuous with respect to time. So what to do? So when you're trying to, what are the difficulties you will face if you're trying to do this, or if you're trying to, you know, use these signals, analog signals, what is the difficulty you will face? I told you the answer already. Most important thing is what? Most important thing is
Ma'am,
what?
even though if it is continuous, it doesn't repeat at same.
It doesn't repeat at.
Ma'am, it doesn't repeat at regular intervals, ma'am. So we can't predict what is happening at respective intervals, ma'am.
Fine. That is with respect to speech signal, or not every signal is not like that. Some signals you can predict. There are even mechanisms today to predict the signals also. Okay, so that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, when you have analog signals like this, okay, when you have analog signals to process, what is the most important difficulty that you're going to face? I've already written 2 points. If you remember, you should make note of all these things. Okay, whatever is being told, keep one notes, all of you, and make note of what is being explained. Okay. So in your earlier classes, you did something like addition, multiplication, and such simple operations you did on the signals. Why did you do that? That was part of a simple processing. Okay. But now that wouldn't be sufficient. Earlier your processing involved what? It involved addition, multiplication, basically multiplication using scalar values. Is it not? Subtraction also. Okay. So these are the operations which you performed. So now when you try to process these signals, when you want to process these signals, or when you want to get some useful information out of it,
Ma'am, voice is too low, ma'am. It is not audible, ma'am.
I'm using a mic. Just a minute. Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello? Students, can you hear me now?
Ma'am, it is audible but very low, ma'am.
Very low, is it? One second. Okay.
Actually, from last 10 minutes, there is some breakage in your voice, ma'am. Like it comes suddenly and it goes away.
Okay.
Actually, right from beginning.
Let me see. Just a minute. Maybe I will increase the volume or something. Let me check. Let me see if I can do something. Just a minute. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. You're able to hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it
Yes,
clear?
ma'am. Now it is audible, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. I have increased the volume
Yes, ma'am.
maximum. Okay. Yeah, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Fine. So what I was telling is we have huge amount of information with us and the signal we are having is analog in nature. So if you want to process anything or extract any information in the analog domain, you know it is very cumbersome. What is the main reason for this? Any analog data you try to process, you will not have enough storage to, first of all, the information itself is so huge. If you want to store it, it is very difficult. Okay? To even do any sort of operations, say filtering, removing the noise, okay? Such kind of things. Also, if you're doing it in the analog domain, the components that you require to build the circuit, it is very bulky. Okay? This is the next thing. So if you look at all these issues, okay, one thing that you would, the solution automatically should come to your mind. What should come to your mind? That you are supposed to be doing all these operations in the, you convert everything in the digital domain. Try to do everything in the digital domain. So if you have a signal, say you're considering your input signal as x of t, you convert it to x of n. That means at different, what are you doing here? For this conversion, you are doing something called as sampling. Okay? You would have done this, right, earlier? So any signal you have, you break it into chunks over time and extract only those chunks of information which is required, which will not lose the originality of the message. Without losing originality of the original signal, message signal, do this, divide it into chunks, use those bits of information and process it, reconstruct the signal back. This is the simple procedure we are going to follow. Now, this original signal may have some additional noise or some high frequency unwanted signals. So what to do? What should you be doing? Tell me. These signals, these high frequency signals, you are supposed to eliminate this. Okay? So how are you going to eliminate this? Any signals, suppose I am giving you an ECG signal or I am giving you a speech signal. Suppose my speech is not audible to you. What will you do? Or there is lot of disturbance here.
Amplification, ma'am.
Amplification, fine, that comes in the next.
Amplification, ma'am.
Amplification will do, that is a part of processing. But before that, okay, suppose there are a lot of, suppose I'm sending you, I'm sitting in a very noisy environment and I'm speaking. Lot of other voices are also getting added. So what you should do? You should just extract my voice from that and listen to that. Right? Yes, somebody is speaking. I couldn't hear that.
Can we try clippers and clamper circuits, ma'am?
Clippers and clamper circuit. Clipper and clamper will just either increase the signal strength. Clampers will only increase the signal strength. And clipper will just chop off certain parts of the signal. So that will not work out.
Modulation and demodulation, ma'am.
Modulation and demodulation comes under the processing part. That is there. Modulation, demodulation you will do. That comes under processing. Modulation, demodulation. Fine. Simple thing what you did in AC lab. First thing is what? Filtering.
Filtering we do, ma'am.
Exactly. So this is what you're going to do first. So initially you get a signal, you will remove all the unwanted or high frequency components. So these are called as, these filters are usually called as anti-aliasing filters. Okay. Once you filter the signal, the next step would be to do what? Next step is sampling. So once you sample, you get signals like this, that is, you get the signal in the discrete form, right? Sorry. You get the signal in discrete form. So once your signal is in the discrete form, just a minute. People are joining so late. Okay. So once a signal is in the discrete form, what do you do next? Next comes your processing. Somebody said modulation, demodulation. These are all part of processing. That if it's a communication signal, you will do all these processing. Sorry, I couldn't hear. Please be loud. Somebody wanted to say something. Your voice was not audible. No? Okay. So once the processing is done, what do you do next? You are in the discrete domain or you are in the digital domain. Okay. Now you have to come back into the original continuous domain. You need to convert this signal back into its original analog form, which is understandable by humans. So you take any example. Okay, you take any example, whether it is, suppose your x of t, this signal was a speech signal. So what will you do? You will first remove all the unwanted noise, then you convert it into discrete. Okay, let me take another color. Okay, you had your original speech, you converted it into, what did you do? First you filtered it. Second, you sampled it. After sampling it, you converted it into, you are in the discrete domain. Then you processed it. After processing, what did you do? You reconstructed it back. This is called reconstruction. Okay? So these are the steps. Now, how do we see this? Let me remove all this. Now we will draw a simple block diagram for this. Okay? Simple block diagram for what I just told you now. Sorry. Okay. So this is the first block that we are going to draw. Okay. First block is nothing but the signal that we'll be taking is x of t. Okay. We are going to consider x of t as my original signal. Let me draw it white so that you can see. So I have my original signal x of t. The first block that I'm going to use is I'll first draw off the blocks. Totally, I will have 6 blocks. Okay. What happened to this? All right. So the first block we will have, what are we going to have here? I told you initially whatever signal you have, that is analog in nature. So I am considering, you consider any signal in your mind. Say, for example, for our consideration, let us take speech signal itself. The first filter, the first block will be nothing but an anti-aliasing filter. Okay, this is the first block. So what is the job of this filter? An anti-aliasing filter. So whether it is a communication signal or it could be you have already, say you have the a transducer out of which you're giving the signal, anything it could be. So the input signal, you consider anything in your mind. Basically, this will be a low pass filter because most of your analog signals that you're going to process will have low frequencies and the noise will be of high frequency. So the first thing is removal of all the unwanted signals or noise. So you will have this anti-aliasing filter, followed by something called as a sample and hold circuit. Now, what is the job of this? Once you have the signal, you have filtered the signal. The filtered signal, what you're doing, you're going to do something called as sampling. So what is this sampling? Your continuous time signal, you are going to convert it into discrete set of samples. Suppose this is your, just consider roughly a signal like this. Okay. What you will do is, at fixed intervals, you are going to extract these values. Okay. And these particular, say this is your x of t originally. And these particular values, sample values that you have, okay, these will be, what are these? These values will be your x of n, sample values. So sample and hold circuit is to reduce the dimensionality of the signal and to reduce the amount of information and pick only the particular samples that you want so that the processing becomes easy. Okay, so that in the next step, processing becomes easy. So this is the reason you're going to use this set of x of n values. Now, once you have these sample values, what do you have to do? These are discrete values. They are still the analog value. You have just sampled it. Okay. Next, you will have something called as what? You will have an A to D converter. That is an analog to digital converter. So you want everything in the digital domain. Digital domain means what? Digital domain means what? You're not operating anymore in the set of analog values. You're going to convert it into digital numbers, ones and zeros. Okay. After doing this conversion, what happens is you have something called as a DSP processor. Okay, this is a processor. Usually, it will be a simple computer. It could be a simple computer, or you have different kind of microprocessors which could do this operation. So the output of this A to D conversion is an n-bit binary value. You understand binary. You have studied digital signals also. So there is a difference between discrete. Discrete values are these. These are discrete values. You're converting this to make your processing easy and the amount of information you are reducing. In the A to D conversion, you're converting this analog signal into digital values. These discrete values, you're converting it into digital values. Therefore, it is nothing but binary signals. Now, in the digital domain, it's very easy for you to, it's further easier for you to process the signal, right? It's further easy for you to process the signal. Once you do this processing, what do? Your processing is done. Say the speech signal that you have taken, or say ECG signal that you have taken, you've converted it into binary values and you have understood what is the problem. Say let us consider this as your ECG itself. ECG or speech, okay? So in ECG, what do you have to understand? From the processor you write from the discrete value or the digital values, you infer whether there is it is called as arthria. Okay, arthria. This is the medical term for that. Let me not simply confuse you with all these things. What you will do is, you will just try to find out whether there is some problem. Problem in the sense what? Any problem with the heart by looking at the ECG waveform. So that part, that processing of that signal and reducing that information, processing is done by the processor. It will tell you what is the RR interval and such kind of things. Somebody is there. Okay. So once this processing is done, what is the next step? You got the information. Now you want to convert the signal back into its original form. Okay. So what do? Here you had A to D conversion. The reverse you will do D to A conversion. Is it not? Isn't it? So you will be doing D to A conversion, followed by what? Now you have the signal, you will reconstruct it back. After the processing part, you will have only the samples, you will reconstruct the signal back, and you will get back the original signal, which is nothing but y of t. So your original signal that you had was x of t. Okay, you processed it, got all the information is obtained, and you reconstruct the signal back. The reconstructed signal is nothing but y of t. Is it clear to all of you? So instead of considering your this one, what? Instead of considering the ECG signal, you can even consider speech signal or any other signal for that matter. Getting it? Yes?
And will there be any data loss during sampling?
No, see, to avoid data loss, what we are going to do is, there is something called as, you would have studied something called as Nyquist criteria. Nyquist rate. Do you remember this? Have you studied something like this? No?
Ma'am, it was not there in our syllabus.
Okay, no problem.
Yes,
So-
ma'am, it was there in analog.
Okay. Not
It was
an
there
issue.
in AAC subject, ma'am.
In ACE, analog communication. Analog.
No, ma'am, analog electronic circuits.
Yeah. It would have been there, but no problem. I will tell you what it is. So whenever you have a signal x of t, okay, you have a signal x of t, there will be different frequency. Suppose it's a random signal, okay, you will have different frequency components here. Okay, this is the signal. So you will pick the highest frequency component. You will pick the highest frequency component, that is the maximum frequency you will choose. So for the signal, say the maximum frequency value is given as fx. Okay? You will keep your sampling rate equal to or greater than. That is greater than or equal to what? Greater than or equal to sampling rate will always be, what happened to this? Sampling rate will always be greater than 2 times the maximum frequency value. Okay. Got it? So this will, make sure that when you do the sampling, when you extract the different samples at different intervals, okay, this interval or the time interval is so chosen that it is adhering to this frequency value. So what will be your time interval if this is the frequency of sampling? Your time interval, say it is Tx, will be 1 by this 2 times frequency value. Okay, so your time interval, you will fix it to this value so that there will be no loss of information. If you do not choose this particular sampling frequency, what is going to happen? You may lose your information. Some portion of useful information will be lost. Getting this? Okay, so I think in another 10 minutes, your next session will start, right? What time is your next class?
10 o'clock, ma'am.
It's at 10. Okay, okay.
Ma'am.
Okay, this I think this
Yes,
meeting is going to end at in another 2-3 minutes. You can rejoin back. Okay. So any with respect to block diagram, do you have any other doubts?
Ma'am, why do we reconstruct it again? We have already got the information, no, ma'am.
See, in many of the cases, what happens? Once you do the processing, some portion of dimensionality will be reduced. Okay, but you want to get back the original signal in its original form, right? Say, for example, you take a communication signal. So what is that disturbance? Okay. See, suppose you're dealing with a communication signal. Somebody told you are doing demodulation and all that. Okay. So when you want to do that, or when you want to get the original signal back, say at the receiver end you are having this. Consider an FM station. At an FM station, you're transmitting the signal, and at different locations, you want to receive this particular signal back. So at the receiving station, what will you do? Maybe the signal that is received will be very much cluttered. It will have lot of noise. So what are you going to do? You will take the signal, you will filter it, you will clear all the noise, then you are going to sample the signal. You will, suppose some portion of the information is lost. You will, in the processing part, the processor will recognize the missing parts, add those signals to it, and finally, when you reconstruct the signal back, the reconstructed signal is much better than your original signal. So when I say processing, don't just think that, okay, processing doesn't just mean that you are only extracting information. It's not only extraction. Okay. There could be addition of information. As I told you, all those operations that you did in your signals and systems, you could add the signal, you could multiply the signal, okay? You could subtract the signal, you could enlarge the signal. Enlarge means it is amplification, okay? Even a processor, DSP processor, can even do complicated filtering. What initially you're doing is just removal of noise, okay? What initially you're doing is just removal of noise, but other things, other kind of filtering that you do in your AC and other things, right? AC lab and all, you would have done simple filtering using RLC components, okay? But the same filtering, if you use a DSP processor and do, okay, you can do it much faster. I'll tell you next when you see the advantages of using the DSP processor, you will much more understand clearly why you need to go for this processing. So don't think, in case of ECG, I just gave you an example. It will tell you what is your problem, what is the problem of the heart. By looking at the ECG signal, you can infer. Maybe that is just one thing. That is just one of the applications. But if you consider other communication signal, or if you consider a speech signal, it is not just